There is joy in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Hallelujah. He's worthy. He's worthy. Okay. He is worthy to be praised. Hallelujah. Come into the room. This is a discussion that, welcome to DanieSteel. I am Danie, Danie, however your tongue says it, okay? Some people, my Americans say Danie. All right, we got a lot of Danies. All right, that's great. But then we got the Londoners, and I get a lot of Danie. Danie. I like that. Okay? DanieSteel. Okay? Come into the room. Welcome. I am DanieSteel. And this is the home of the purple print. And I'm talking about something today that I didn't really think I would ever really talk about, because I like to keep my thoughts on religion and spirituality to myself, because this is a very touchy subject. People feel very strongly about this, and with due reason, right? It's the cost of your mortal soul, right? And, this is something that to even question religion, faith, right, is taboo. Anyone that is religious knows this. When it comes to religion, it is very taboo to question basically anything you're told, right? And that's something that over time I've strongly, vehemently disagreed with. I think that everything should be questioned. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that we talk about free will, right? The angels, everyone knows this. I mean, you can watch the show Lucifer, right? I watched about a season and a half, so I'm a little behind, but I'm gonna catch up, because I'm very much into shows that deal with this topic as well. So Lucifer is one such show, very entertaining. Check it out if you want. Whatever. Okay, it's got a nice looking cast. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, a little bit about myself, right? In case you don't know. I have a life that was filled with religion, right? I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 12th grade, right? So religion, in case you don't know, in case you're like, okay, so just because the school said it was Catholic. Okay, well, in Catholic school, you study religion, okay? You literally, religion is a class, and you take it kindergarten through 12th grade. So please understand this. When I say I'm very familiar with Christianity and Catholicism, I am. I hung out with nuns, all right? That's what I did for fun, okay? So not only was I hanging out with nuns, okay, in Catholic school, kindergarten through 12th grade, but I'm also in the American foster care system. And something they love to do to poor people is like put God on them, right? So anyways, in foster care, the foster parents are basically allowed to press upon you whatever religion or faith they want. I don't agree with this. But the religion and faith usually was the Baptist church, okay? So just about every single foster woman. I call them foster women. I don't like to call them foster mothers because they didn't parent and they weren't motherly. These foster women, okay, almost all of them demanded that we go to church, okay, like all day. So that was something that I just grew up with. Not only that, but my own family was also very religious. We're talking about, upstate New York, the hood. In the 90s, most Black people were religious and they went to church. And my own family went to church as well. My great grandmother, who, I saw every weekend of my life and every holiday that she was alive, right? She was very religious. Okay, so my understanding of the world for a very long time was that most people were religious. Most people believe in God. Most people understand heaven and hell. Most people understand that if they don't follow the rules of the Bible, which I'm in Catholic school learning, we don't just learn about the seven deadly sins, right? Learning about acts of contrition, learning about the Beatitudes, learning about, right, all of these concepts. Catholicism is very interesting to me. I've been to Rome, been to the Vatican, and the history of Christianity and Catholicism there has always fascinated me. And hi, Sammy, welcome. Good evening. Good to see you. So Catholicism has a lot of things going on and a lot of rules you're supposed to follow to be a good Christian. And it was my understanding. See, this is something they don't do nowadays. This is something they don't do anymore. Welcome to anyone, everyone in the room. Please like and subscribe. This is a conversation that, like I said, I've been tentative to have, but I want to have it with you guys because I feel like we don't ever have a space in the what do I call it? The Black community, T-A-Y, and even just in Catholicism and Christianity in America in general, right? So it's specified through my experience of it as a Black Baptist woman that went to Catholic school. But, I also am welcoming anyone into this conversation that just wanted to say, like, why can't I have questions about religion? Why can't I have questions about something that I'm devoting my life to? That's my number one thing. I'm going to open with that as we get to the title of the video. All right? Questions. You were promised heaven to be robbed on earth. Ouch. If it's true, right? Ouch. I remember the first time I heard this concept years ago. And it really hit me. Okay. And I had been to Romania. I spent a month in Romania. I spent the month in Italy. But it wasn't until we went on vacation to Kauai, right, which is the oldest island on Hawaii, right? Kauai. We went on vacation to Kauai for our anniversary. And I was, I'm looking out of this villa, okay, at the ocean. Everything is so beautiful around me. It's sick. You got to understand, I grew up in the hood. I know what poverty looks like. A lot of people have this notion that, like, there's no poverty in America. It's just not true. America oppresses people outside the country, and they have built their wealth on oppressing the native minority populations within the country. And that's just a fact. Okay? We can love and respect everyone and understand that. Okay? Anyways, I'm in Kauai and I'm looking out, and I can't believe I'm even in this place right now, right? I'm like, this is sick. Like, it's so beautiful. It's, to me, was like when I've felt beauty and safe and peace, I start to say, oh my God, what's going on here? Because there are people who come here, there are people that live here in these big, beautiful houses. They live here. You know, we're renting the villa, right? For our vacation. There are people that live here, and I'm noticing they're mostly older white people. There are people that vacation here every month, every year, right? And you know, you think of celebrities and you think of that look they have on their face. They always have this very charmed look, right? They're always like, you know, and it's like, what does that look, right? And I realized as I'm looking out here and I'm gathering all of my memories, I'm like, I've begun to have more good memories than bad memories. This is crazy. I mean, when you grow up in the hood, when you grow up in Blackistan or whatever y'all call the hoods where y'all from, when you grow up in dysfunction, when you grow up in the American foster care system, and you start to notice like, whoa, I've been having some really amazing experiences. And I've been to some really amazing, beautiful places. And I'm just used to it and just feels so good, right? That's scary because it's like, aren't you supposed to be scared all the time? Aren't you supposed to be worried about when the other shoe is going to drop? You've been taught through a lot of people who call themselves Christians. A lot of people are taught you don't deserve anything, right? You'll get your reward in heaven. You'll get your reward in heaven. Who are they telling this to? Who are they telling this to? Right? And you know, like I said, my great grandmother, who outside of foster care was the only family member that ever cared and helped to raise us. Again, I saw her every week and every holiday until she passed away when I was 19. All right. My great grandmother was a very religious woman. But one thing she never did was, you know, tell me that I should wait until heaven to have a good life, right? Even though I gathered from the things that she said that she believed this to be true for herself. My great grandmother was always amazed by what I accomplished on scholarship going to private Catholic school. I mean, you know, and when I went, and she knew I was in college for 2 years before she passed. She knew I was going to do amazing things, and she left knowing that the cycle had been broken, that the generational curse had been broken. She saw her daughter and her daughter's daughter succumb to addiction, to the epidemics America allowed to ravage the Black community. When it was an epidemic in the Black community, notice, take note, they'll allow it. My great grandmother stayed living to make sure. Look at Savvy. Savvy's on board. What's up, Savvy? It's good to see you. You are a godsend. You really are. Savvy is one of this channel's biggest supporters. And if she donated nothing, which she does all the time, she's still one of this channel's biggest supporters. Listen, I'm here through the grace of a higher power. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I don't hesitate to say the things I went through would have destroyed other people. It's just a fact. Because again, your wholeness matters. Your wholeness matters. It matters that you make it there in one piece. It matters that they don't get to take and take and take from you till you're left in pieces. Talking about some, we made it. Have you really? If you allow them to take and take and take from you on some purpose, on some promise of heaven, you ever been to the Amalfi Coast? You ever been to Hawaii? There are places on earth that are heavenly. And those places are denied to the poor, denied to the natives, denied to the Black people. It's not right. And what I'm telling y'all is when I'm sitting in that villa, how did a girl from the 90s crack cocaine epidemic, the black sheep, the scapegoat, I almost drowned at summer camp one year. I could not swim. To this day, I cannot swim. How did I make it out of that pool? The lifeguard was looking over me. It was a black man, y'all. I'm sorry. It's true. It was a black guy. It was like, I was like 8 years old. It's a lot of kids in the pool, but it was a black guy. Of course, I'll never forget that. That was my life. How did I get here, baby? I promise you. It's for a purpose. Your life is for a purpose. You have a story to tell. And you deserve heaven on earth. You deserve it right now. I believe that. I don't care what nobody say. Everything that I've done, the work that I've done has been so that my children can say, I don't know about none of that ratchet ish. My mama told me about that. I don't know nothing about that. We chilling, we good. So when we look at the history, so understand when I talk about Christianity, when I talk about Catholicism, whether you're an atheist, whether you're a Christian, whatever religion or spirituality you are or believe in, you have the right to do that. It's not my place to judge. It's not. And I don't. Because if you want to judge me, guess what? To me, you don't matter. So because the judgments of others matters not to me, I judge not. And I haven't always been in that place. So I'm sure if you knew me back in my religious days, right, when I was highly indoctrinated by the notion of self-righteousness and self-sanctimoniousness, because I practiced what you're supposed to practice as a Christian. Right? And how I've always understood religion is you have to practice the tenets, the rules of the religion to be a part of the religion. But what's happened today in America is People can call themselves a Christian or whatever, right? Without ever showing you proof that they have ever or will ever practice any of the, as I told you guys about Catholicism, right? Many rules. Religion and Christianity demands that you follow a multitude of rules to be good, right? And nobody's doing that, right? Nobody's doing that. So I want you guys to listen to a little clip from one of my favorite YouTubers, Destin Troyce, aka Troyce TV. If you guys don't know him, look him up. I mean, I think he's great. He's so funny. He's my type of humor. I adore him. Always have. Longtime follower and fan of his. Destin Troyce. Okay, this video is on his channel, Destin Troyce. And it's called Why I Stopped Believing in God and Got into Spirituality. Some of y'all are hypocrites. Okay? All right. I want you guys to listen to briefly what he has to say here. I agree with a lot of it. And so I want to play that for you guys now. Again, if you're in the room, please like and subscribe. Appreciate you. Thank you.
I got into spirituality is because I had a lot of questions about religion. And it all started with the way I grew up. For one, I have a lot of evil, nasty, conniving people who just so happen to be related to me. And I would always notice how these motherfuckers would always go in church, getting on their knees, like they're about to suck some dick, like they're gonna do something, acting like they're believing in God, that they're praising God and doing this, that, and the third. And then I kind of put two and two together and realized a lot of these people in church don't like each other. They hate each other. They're all nasty to each other. They're always talking about whose son is better, whose wife is this, who's that, who's gay, who's that, who's fucking who's divorced by who. And I realized, damn, y'all really aren't here because y'all genuinely want to support and believe in what you guys call God. A lot of you motherfuckers are in here because you punk ass bitches are just scared of going to hell, and you weird ass niggas are just scared of burning in hell for all the horrible shit y'all have done. So realistically, I think church is just a cesspool full of nasty individuals who do evil shit. And then the other 10% are people who generally are there for good intentions. And a big reason why I kind of shut away from religion was I was probably around 12, 13 years old, and I had a lot of questions. I would always ask my mom growing up, so this book that we're obeying, who wrote it? She couldn't even tell me who wrote it. And I bet some of y'all watching this can't even tell me who wrote it either. So that was pretty much my whole ordeal when I was like, okay, I'm done. What really had me fucked up was when I was Googling sins back in 2011 and 12. I was Googling what are a list of sins. I found out pork was one of them. And my first instinct was, oh, bitch, I can't eat ribs and pork rinds. And then I realized a big reason why a lot of people obey these so-called commandments and what you can't do and what you can do is because a lot of people realistically just don't want to go to hell. They want to look good in front of other people. They go to church, wear their best outfit, flaunt. And I remember being a kid and I used to fall asleep in that bitch. There, I said it. When I would be in church, I would be like slumping my damn chair like, because it would be early as fuck, and I would just be sitting there like, oh my fucking God. Like, okay, when does 10:30 come? We've been in this bitch since 7 a.m. That was literally me. And I had so many questions because I would see the way people acted around me, see the way everybody would switch up. And I remember my mom got repent inside of a pool. And I remember telling myself, okay, since she's getting repent, that means she's going to change her ways and she's not going to sin anymore. She's going to be a new person. She's going to live by God. 2 weeks later, here she go, cussing up a damn storm, acting a damn fool, harboring money. She owed mad people fucking money, and she's fucking hiding from them. People knock on the door, she acting like she not home because she owed people money. People pulling up to her at my auntie's house because she owed them money and she not answering the door. Shit like that. And I would think to myself, bitch, didn't you get repent? But I would like keep that to myself. And I would sit up here and just wonder, so what is the point of obeying this book, saying you're going to do good, saying you're going to do right, and then turning the other way and saying, okay, I'm going to do all this fucked up shit behind the scenes and in the clubs, and when I'm with my girls or when I'm with my guys, and I'm going to do evil, nasty shit and lie and steal and be a conniving thief, but then I'll still go to church on Sunday because God will still forgive me. And then I started realizing to myself, So what is the point of people being religious if they just want a reward in the end? Because that's what it seems like to me. A lot of people just want a reward in the end. Like,
okay, so right, the hypocrisy. Okay. I just explained to you guys, I don't know if you're here for it or not, right? I just explained to you guys, right? I grew up, I went to Catholic school, kindergarten to 12th grade. I had very religious guardians and people in my life. Most my life. I went to church every Sunday, most of my life. All right. Unless I had a basketball game as I got older. Thank God for basketball. Okay. Yes, I can hoop. Are you surprised? I do it all. Yes, I hoop. Okay. Yes, I'll break your ankle. No, I won't. I won't break your ankles. They just put me on the team. I was tall. I hustled. I got a little, hand-eye coordination. You know that. So the hypocrisy has always been something that I've noticed as when I was a child growing up in these highly religious environments. And I noticed it greatly with Black religious figures, right? So I had a foster woman that I lived with. They're not mothers, so I call them foster women. Okay. A foster woman who was a pastor. All right. And lived with her for over 3 years when I was in middle school, high school. Okay. This woman, her family was atrocious. It was a lot of mental, physical, spiritual abuse. And then she was a pastor of a church. So you gotta understand how I'm looking at this. I'm like, you're a pastor of a church, but you allow your family members, and this is one of the reasons why I went so hard for Michaela and will continue to go hard for Micaiah Bryant, the young girl who was shot at her foster home. They allow older women, their children, their former foster kids that they actually liked when they liked the job before they started caring only about the money, stuff like that. They allow these people to come to the homes to torment the foster children. This is what they allow. This is the hood. This is the Christians in the church. Right? Had another former foster woman. I messaged Bishop T.D. Jakes' church about her years ago. I asked them, I said, you guys know you have an abuser of foster children in your church? I didn't get a response back. I'm sorry, but that is atrocious to me. I'm telling you for a fact. You see, when you step up and do the right thing, at the time when I did it, I wasn't rewarded for it immediately. I got no response back. I thought they would say something like maybe, okay, well, how can you validate, can you verify those allegations? Yes, I can. I was there. Let me tell you about him. You don't want a woman, in quotation marks, a damn pig, as far as I'm concerned, a nasty pig. You don't want that in your church, representing your church, sir. You're gonna want to stand with the American foster kids on this one. But no, I never got a response back. And this woman is skipping about the halls of God, right? Skipping about the halls of God, telling other people how to live their life, talking about something, I'm a senior usher. Abused children viciously. So the hypocrisy The hypocrisy. Watching my great-grandmother be an amazing Christian, that wasn't enough to convince me about the rest of them. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No. I saw the hypocrisy. Pastor be in church talking about some, you're outside and you got this kid and that kid. They all sound like Judge Joe Brown. With your 5 kids, you on your 7th relationship. And guess what? That's what the pastor was doing too. I won't go to a pastor with a, that's why they go to the pastor now. Kevin Samuels, you heard of him? That's their pastor now. All right, they're talking about some black men be in church. Nobody cares. If you in church, you scheming. Should black men be in church? What? Who cares? You know, if a man goes to church, they'll make him a deacon so quick. Just so thirsty for a man to be in the pulpit. No, keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. They don't want to be there. In the house of the Lord, being held accountable. Because I don't know nowhere in the Bible where it said, woman pick up the slack if the guy decides not to step up to the plate. I don't know nowhere in the Bible where it say that. Keep in mind, I've studied the Bible more and longer than most people on YouTube, okay? I used to read the Bible front to back for fun as a child in church. Sitting in church, late at night on my bed, I've read the entire book of Revelations. Understand this. I memorized the books of the Bible. This is things that I did for fun as a child. All right? So don't play with me. Don't play with me when it comes to this one. Okay? Hypocrites. Hypocrites. So that's one of the reasons why I don't go to church. Okay? Hypocrites. And, you know, they even got that Justin Bieber church, you know, that Justin Bieber church with that Justin Bieber looking pastor. And he was hanging out with Justin Bieber or something anyways. And look, he ended up being shady. Of course. Of course. These people are con artists. They don't walk the walk. Anointed, ordained, by whom? By whom? Tell something, by God. That's not good enough for me. I need somebody else. Who did you report to? Who else can I talk to that can tell me you were ordained by God? So that kind of language is very sus to me about the character of the pastor. Okay. Now, in my experience with Catholicism and the Catholic Church, they have a lot more funds available. And a lot of the reason they have a lot more funds available is because they don't spend all the money on themselves. Now, don't get it twisted. People have to be paid for what they do. You spend your life trying to help others. You got to have a roof over your head to do it. You got to have meals, okay? I've been to monasteries. Please understand this. Monasteries. You know, where nuns live, okay? They're very nice. They're very nice. They have very nice bedrooms, right? Don't ask me how I saw all this. You know, a kid roaming around, probably where I shouldn't have been. I wasn't necessarily given the tour, but anyways, it was nothing inappropriate. I've heard about inappropriate things happening. I think that's very sad, very tragic, because my experience with nuns was always very nice. It just really was. And they helped me to get, you know, a better education than I would have been able to get elsewise. So connections to other things. It's the reason why I met my husband. It's the reason why I am the person that I am today. My great-grandmother is the reason why I am the person I am today. And so was access to adequate education, because they're not giving access to adequate education to everyone in America. Understand this. So you can't ask questions, right? One of the things that they'll always tell you, these pastors will always tell you, is if you question God, right? And of course, like, how can you question God anyways? How are you going to talk to him, right? In your head, the way that they do. Oh, but they're talking to God because they're ordained. By whom? Okay, so anyways, so why can't you question God? Why? They're like, because if you do a sin so mighty, so I'm like, what? What? You got 7 husbands, Pastor. You got 8.5 kids by 7 different husbands. And you telling me if I try to find a way to ask God, what's up with this story over here? I got a few questions. I'm more in the wrong? Is that what you're telling me, Pastor? Right? So I reject that because it don't say directly in the Bible you're not to ask questions. This is something that a lot of pastors try to use different Bible verses to interpret it that way so that you don't ask questions about what they're doing in the church. Okay? But, you know, when I was in Catholic school, what I learned about Catholicism is, yes, you're not supposed to question God and why God does this or that. Like, okay, but there's God, right? And then there's all the rest of the people in the Bible. There's a lot of people in the Bible. I can ask a question about what they was doing and why. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm telling you what I did to be that good Christian is I literally did that. I was like, okay, so I won't ask any questions. So that means, like, not only did I not ask questions to anyone else, I didn't look up things, right? One, I didn't have access to, you know, I grew up in different times, you know, so I didn't have access to a computer really to look things up if I had questions. But I didn't ask questions, certainly. I didn't try to do any research, you know, into questions I had about the Bible or religion, etc. People's behavior who claim to be representing God, right? You representing God. You don't act like it. I know he ain't sent you. That's crazy. He sent you. All the people he could have sent, he sent you. I don't believe that. Right? I never questioned in my head. Please understand this. When we talk about indoctrination, when we talk about the message that colonizers gave to native populations of people that they wanted to oppress, the message was, your life is hard. And if you look at how America treats Black women, for example, there's a general like understanding of you have a hard life, right? Like your life's gonna be hard. Excuse me? Excuse me? Why should my life be hard? Why? But everybody else get the bit bop about. This is the message that's been given to Black people to keep them neutralized. And it was done generation after generation. It was done to shame the enslaved peoples into staying. They would tell the enslaved peoples, you are doing a bad thing here now, Sam. I took good care of you now, right? And the Bible says, and what they did to these men and women and these families to shame them with religion, right? The Bible says don't lay a hand on someone who is feeding you, right? It's like, okay, let's never mind the fact that you're separating our families, robbing us of our culture, robbing us of our language, literally enslaving people. They use religion to keep Black people in line. All right. That's one of the reasons why they weren't able to get a stronghold on Native Americans. One, Native Americans were native to the land. Two, Native Americans, some people will say that Native Americans would fight, that, they would fight, and they also would not work, right? They just refused to work. They were like, whatever, do whatever, right? We're not doing it. So they knew the land. They're not newly arrived, enslaved African populations. They know the land, and they have their own spirituality based on the land that they were on. Now, that's hard to indoctrinate someone into your way of thinking when they have such a strong spirituality like that. Now, with the enslaved Africans, of course, these people are brought in from all different places. At the time they arrive, they've already been separated from their families. At the time that they arrived, they were already separated from their families. And so, how can you even think properly under such circumstances? This is not something that Christians do. That's not rocket science. Christians don't enslave. Christians don't indoctrinate, right? They do the Lord Jesus Christ. They do the bidding of the Lord and the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what Christians do. They don't do all that ish that they were doing and using God to back it up. And again, they use Christianity to say, don't fight back. Don't be angry about what's happened to you. Be thankful for such deplorable situations. And because of this indoctrination, I believe that is why the hood has been able to thrive to this day. We talk about the whys. Why? Why are we still struggling after all the work we've done, after clearly how amazing we are? I think a large part of it has to do with that religious indoctrination. Okay? It pacifies, it placates, and it neutralizes. So I believe you can believe in whoever you want to believe in, however you want to believe in it. But I also believe that there's no way that an unhealed individual who perpetuates toxic cultural norms can have an ordained relationship with God. Okay? So the foster woman that I lived with, for example, of course, she was a pastor. To this day, she's a pastor, and she would say she's ordained by God. No, in the hell you're not. What God are you talking about? The God of hell? We have a right to ask questions about these humans who are walking around taking the privilege to speak for God. We have a right to ask them a few questions. I believe that. Yes, I do. And you ain't gonna tell me you were ordained by nothing that'll make you have no accountability for the things you do. If you're familiar with the Catholic Church, you will know about a concept called papal infallibility. Papal infallibility. And what that means in the Catholic Church is that the Pope can do no wrong. Papal infallibility. He is infallible. He can do no wrong. These are concepts that the Baptist Church also likes to implement on Black populations. And I remember hearing about papal infallibility and being like, I don't think so. Nobody is, you're not Jesus. So at this point, you're walking around talking about you're ordained by God. You've done nothing to prove it. Sounds like you got a God complex to me. That's what that sounds like. You got to watch out for individuals like that because they're walking around claiming to be ordained. Right? Let's see. I think all of this happened in the church around the 60s because the older Black people I knew were extremely Christian, but they worked hard and they had their niceties too, like cars and homes. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of pastor, pimp, pulpit pimp culture, right? That looks like around the time where it started because I recall images of the 50s and below. You would see churches, they were very raggedy, right? They were very, very small. I said raggedy. I didn't mean to call them raggedy. They were very small, kind of homely churches, right? Very humble, white, small white churches. They burned all those churches up. The terrorists, the domestic terrorists that America allows to terrorize Black people. Understand that. They allow this terrorism against Black people. They allow it. They burned those churches up. We celebrated the anniversary of the bombing of, I forget the name of the church off the top of my head, with the four little Black girls who were murdered by American domestic terrorists because we don't have an anti-Black women hate bill, right? When it's so clear that our lives are constantly at a higher stakes situation than most other women's in this country. Whether it's medical racism, whether it's domestic terrorism, whether it's intraracial violence. Yeah. Where is our crime bill? And if you're a politician and you ain't talking about that, you ain't talking about much. For me, I told you guys I had a man approach my car doing the "No, you are, fuck you! You're in the crosswalk" BS to me. Why did you think that was acceptable? He looked in the car and saw I was in there by myself, right? I had a guy flip me off. I wasn't even driving, but he was looking and he saw me in the car. He comes around to the car and sees my husband, sees a white guy. And do you know what he said? He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But he was shouting on his way to the car, ready to cuss somebody out. Where's the protection? Right? And I told you, Dusties love to come to my channel and talk about some, why should we protect strong, independent? Hush, hush. The women you hang out with are strong and independent, okay? I'm strong and kept. I'm strong and provided for, all right? And I'm delicate. Don't play yourself. They swear every Black woman is out here to be for the fodder. Is out here to be like, oh, I don't know how to take control of my life. Wee in the breeze. No, we didn't all fall for it. We didn't all fall for it. Hello. So, Right now, we see the Haitian migrants at the Texas border. They're whipping them. There are pictures of these Haitian migrants being whipped. Tragic. I've never seen them doing that to any other group of migrants, to any other group of people that arrived here. So, if I'm in your church, I have a right to ask questions. I have a right to ask questions about what I'm hearing in the Bible, how I'm hearing you interpret things. I have a right to ask questions. That doesn't make me a troublemaker. Okay, for it just so happens I don't go to churches like that anymore because it's been too much hypocrisy. It's been too much hypocrisy. And I will work on my relationship with God, between me and God. I don't need a third party hypocrite. You don't need, I don't care what nobody say. When you get to church, pastor love to be like, oh, you think that you a Christian? If you don't come to church and give me $5, $10 a week, but you think you a Christian? You gotta come to church to give me that $5, $10, $25, $50, $100 a week, right? Shame you into going to church. I would love to go to a church with a pastor that's living it right, that walks the walk and talks the talk, but I'm not here for you hypocrites. No, my spirituality, my spiritual health matters too much to me to sit in a church with a hypocrite pastor. If the pastor is a hypocrite, the congregation is hopeless. Let's start there. Choice TV talks about a lot of people just go to church because they're afraid of going to hell. These are the type of people to really watch out for, because their warped ideas of heaven and hell will make your life on earth hell. Their warped ideas about heaven and hell, and that they're going to these places if they put on a show. The fact that you could think that you could be a trash individual, a trash human being, but God would open the pearly gates for you, that's demented. So understand, people like this, who think like this, they're here to make your life on earth a living hell. Because they believe in appearances, and they believe if they go to church on Sundays, even though they are a shit person, that they're actually going to go to heaven. Now, I think a lot of people don't read the book of Revelations. Okay? There's a concept on YouTube that a lot of people talk about. The chosen 144. Okay, and this concept, I don't know where a lot of the Steelies people that talk about it get it from, but my knowledge of this concept is that it's based off the book of Revelation, where they're talking about the numbers of people from the different tribes that will get into heaven, right? 144,000 people, guys. 144,000 people, guys. And people think that they can behave however they want to other people, never give back, never help others, never be a decent human being, but go to church on Sunday, and they're going to be part of the 144,000 people who will ever exist that will get into heaven. And keep in mind, that number is there because the people that wrote the Bible had a very limited idea of the span of humanity. Whereas if God wrote the Bible, he wouldn't have a limited idea. I think he have a little more room in heaven than for 144,000 people. Right? So if I was going to choose to be a Christian, okay, I would live as a Christian. Because heaven in the Bible is not promised. You have to earn it, right? And newsflash, heaven on earth isn't promised either. You have to work for it. Unfortunately, depending on who you are and what you were born into, you'll have to work harder than a lot of other people do, right? But I believe it's worth it. I do. I believe it's worth it to put in the work, to go the places that you want to go, to vacation in the places you want to go, see the things you want to see. I got married on the Mediterranean Sea. The history of the Mediterranean Sea beneath our feet. I got to experience that. To me, that is a powerful union because we were married in a powerful place. All right. And there's more powerful places to go and to see. And you deserve to go and to see all of these places. Not to be told that you're to wait and let other people experience it. They get to experience it. Why not you? Why not you? Because you don't want to focus on yourself? Because you don't want to put the work into yourself? Again, you have people who lack complete any sense of self-awareness telling you they're ordained by God. If that's who you're following, no wonder your life's a mess. You got to take control to manifest the heaven on earth. There's heaven on earth right here. I've seen it. When you look out at the ocean, when you look out at the waves, when you look at the beauty, the historical beauty, there are so many places in this world. You feel like you're in a different world. You deserve to see all of those things. Not everyone is an empath, guys. Okay? It's a lot of people on here claiming to be empaths. I'm actually a Hypocrite, one of the highest, rarest empaths that there could be. It is what it is. You can look it up. It is what it is. I'm telling you, that's how I've been able to have a tremendous power in understanding other people. At this point in my life, it's almost golden. Like I can call people a mile away at this point. I can call their evil intentions, their insincerity. I can spot it a mile away because I've been blessed with the gift of feeling the true energy that other people radiate towards me. A lot of questions you'll have in life is because you cannot discern if someone is sincere or not, right? And there's this fear that what if I miss out on a good thing? I'm here to tell you to practice discernment. I'm here to tell you to follow that gut instinct you have, right? When I met my husband, something told me, actually, when I met my husband, I never thought I would see him again, right? Because I met him in undergrad. We met up again years later, about 2-3 years later, when we were both in grad school. And it was meeting him again, when I met him again, right? We both noticed a growth in each other from our time in undergrad to when we met again. And I was very intrigued by this. Okay. Follow your instinct and your intuition more. Stop letting how you were indoctrinated in school, how you might have been indoctrinated in religion. Stop letting that impact the choices you make. Use your voice. That gut instinct that you feel, that's your voice. That's your voice telling you, I got something to say. I'm feeling a certain way. Hey, it's me. Remember me? Not your mama's voice. Not your guardian's voice. Not the voice of your teachers or friends over the years. Your voice. Really start listening for that more. SC Johnson, thank you for being here. Again, I feel like we're not able to have discussions, questions about how we feel about religion, and it's being told to us by people who I feel don't have the credibility to tell me what I'm to think about or ask questions about or not. They don't have the credibility. So I'm going to do it. Period. And I've worked on my relationship with my creator greatly. So I feel I feel a connection to my creator that most people that claim that God is talking to them, they don't feel this. It's a tremendous amount of work. So, I've never respected the hypocrisy of the church where, everybody can be, making babies out of wedlock, right? Everyone's got babies out of wedlock, everybody in the pulpit, but oh well, they're still in the pulpit. And you're in the congregation being told you're to look up to these people. But you guys are having affairs. You're cheating people out of money. You ever wonder where all that money goes? In the collection plate, it goes right to the pastor's pockets. I told you guys, I literally would observe these pastors taking the money out of the envelope and spending it for themselves however they want it. Cash. That money wasn't going into a bank. Taxes weren't being deducted. None of that. Just cash in your pocket. Plus, you got a side hustle of keeping foster kids. And you think you're going to heaven? Absolute delusion. Absolute delusion. Don't find yourself being a person that is listening to someone calling themselves a pastor. Most of them, they're not called. They're not ordained. They're lying. Okay? Again, I've seen it. I lived it firsthand. I've seen how these people live. They've abused children. They're taking advantage of already abused children, abusing them further, thinking that they'll get away with it, thinking that these kids are disposable. Never in their life imagining one of these kids would grow up and go to school and go to college and go to grad school and situate themselves so that they could articulate the abuse that they saw. Never imagining that. Don't follow people like this. Absolute hypocrites. If it's just got to be you and your faith for a while, let it be just you and your faith. But these types of hypocrites will have you giving up on your faith. And I abhor that. I had people, when I moved to New York, almost everyone I met was like an atheist, and they were like, why are you religious? They were basically, they were being very passive aggressive, um, bullying me, right? About being a Christian, right? Why do you believe this? It sounds like fairy tales and right. I think that's really messed up because people could say a lot of mean things back and forth, right? I'm a person that believes that my energy will serve a purpose. If you're a person that believes in absolutely nothing, good for you. Good for you. But you don't shit on other people for their beliefs and their faiths, right? So people that did that, you believe in nothing and you will be nothing. Okay, the people that did that, all right? Otherwise, I've also met a few atheist people who were very kind and considerate, They weren't trying to force their beliefs. A lot of atheists will say, don't force your beliefs on me. Don't force your beliefs on me. I've seen the power. I've seen the power of God. I'm a living testament of it. It just is what it is. If you're not, great, right? I won't take that away from you. But, live and let live. Let people have what they have. I think it's wrong to try to make someone question their faith or feel bad about their faith. I would never do that. I'm here to dissect the things that I see. And I'm here to ask questions for the first time. Excuse me. Apologies if I ask a few questions, right? One of the things, again, you'll see people, just living any way they want, really out here just practicing the 7 deadly sins, but then they'll lecture you about being bougie, right? I've been lectured about like being bougie, right? Like, you're not going to tell me I'm hurting someone because you're triggered because I'm bougie. Religious person, right? And I've seen countless times how Black people will escape into this, I'm a religious person, right? They'll love to run to the pulpit. Everybody want to be a first lady. Everybody want to be a first lady. Your title in some random church means absolutely nothing to me. The only thing that matters to me is who you are and how you actually live your life. Understand this. I don't care what titles. Everybody love to say they a deacon. Everybody a deacon. Y'all not all deacons, okay? Y'all not all first ladies. It just is what it is, okay? And your husband ain't no pastor. If you're not a good person, if you don't help other people, if you constantly are trying to hurt people and sabotage people, take advantage of people, manipulate people, abuse people, you're not a good person. You're not ordained by God. You're a liar. Period. You can run to the Bible all you want. It doesn't work. To me, that's not going to work. Pastor taking the money right out the envelope. Pastor balling. How many people been to a church? They'll shut the doors, won't let you leave until they get, we need $2,000. $2,000? No, you need to be running a church that you can afford to run. Not telling me it's up to me to give you my little pennies. What are you talking about? And I knew someone, we went to a church like this growing up. This person takes their boyfriend back to that church where they would shut the doors. And again, And he said to me, he said, they did the same thing again. He said, they, to this day, years, decades later, I haven't been around that church in decades. They still shutting the door, talking about something you can't leave until you give me this money. I wish they would do that ish to me. One, because I would never be there. Because I'm not going to tolerate that. For you to go back into that situation, you're broken. You're broken. I saw as a teenager, these people ain't about that life. They're phony. And then people will go back into that situation. You'll place your kids back into that situation. I'll take my kids to a Buddhist temple before I take them to some pulpit pit, pimping the Black community for their little bit of change. Before I take my child to some mega church pastor who's nothing but a for-profit pastor, talking about how you can get money for God. God will give you money, and God will give you money. No, I'll take my child to a Buddhist temple first, where it's about connecting to yourself and to earth and to each other. Not where it's about giving your hard-earned money so pastor could drive a Rolls Royce, pastor live in the suburbs, and everybody that goes to church lives in the hood, where the church is. So again, you see this shift coming out of the 50s, where these churches start getting more and more elaborate. The pastors start getting more and more elaborate. It starts being more and more about how they can collect money than it is about using spirituality to keep the Black family together, quite frankly. These churches don't sound interested in keeping the Black family together. Not when you're yelling at the Black women that stayed, and you're not trying to get these men to come in and counsel them about how to stay in the house and be fathers. Because that should be the mission right now. They think being mentally strong is code for physical strength. Yep, absolutely. Dusties can't even speak up for the Haitian. Oh, God. Right. Again, when we talk about your image, right? When we talk about how people associate you, not what they tell you how they're going to associate you, how they actually associate you. It's a horrible look, you know? So I'm going to do another video about some spiritual techniques that I use to keep my spiritual health strong, because it was low for many years, just to be honest. I got very depressed by the blatant hypocrisy of it all, you know, and I felt very disconnected spiritually. And now I've found a much better place for myself. And so I think it's a toxic cultural norm for people to be able to run to the church and say, now I'm a member of the church, or now I'm saved, or now I'm a pastor, now I'm first lady, and they haven't done any work to be a good person. I reject that. And I don't, people that do that doesn't mean nothing to me. It's very weird. I believe people have to have acts of service. People have to give. The fact that you never see a pastor going to someone's house on the weekends, you never see them helping to build in the community. They're always just driving their Rolls Royce and having money and, being like, I did a sermon on, like, who cares? There's so much work to be done. Isn't that what it's all about, really? Wealth prosperity message. All the money goes to the leadership. It's a scam and a business. I don't support organized religion. Exactly. And that just is what it is. And I believe that even organized religion can help you, but you have to do the spiritual work within yourself first. You know, I like to listen to TD Jakes, Joel Osteen. I like to listen to these pastors from time to time. You know, they'll have a nice little good sermon. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel that, right? But I'm not going to give them money because they have more money than me. It just is what it is. These men are multi-millionaires, so I'm not going to give them my little bit of money. But you know, every now and then, once a month or so, I might listen to one of their messages. You know, I think they're inordinately wealthy, and I think that's odd. You know, they have a lot of money. It's like, yo, ain't no books gave you all that money. People let it be, my books. Relax. Ain't no books give you all that money. Yeah, it's just it's I'm not interested in helping people. I'm not interested in helping these so-called leaders become multi-millionaires, right? You have these politicians, you know, Nancy Pelosi. She's got like $180 million net worth. $180 million. Where did she get that from? That's crazy. And she's like, America's capitalist, right? She's proud to be a capitalist, but she's not proud to help anybody. She don't have to help anybody. She's got to flex and represent for women that feel she represents them. That's great. But meanwhile, she has $180 million. And Flint doesn't have clean water. And Black Americans don't have reparations. It's a lot of scamming. It's a lot of scamming by religious and political leaders, so-called leaders. Because you don't make that money doing God's work. You don't make that money helping people. You make that money being a capitalist. Understand that. Sorry to burst your bubble, if you know what I'm saying. That's tough to hear. It is what it is. All right. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to be on my way. I heart you. Thank you so much for listening to this message. Make sure to thumbs up the video, share, subscribe. If you want to hear more messages like this, let me know. And I'll see you guys soon.